CNC. So when you start 3D printing and you get your first printer, most companies will actually send you a beginning toolkit like this, which is fine to start with, but actually most 3D printers pretty quickly move on from this kit. The first reason is if you look at all the parts, they're honestly, the companies went to Harbor Freight or MasterCar and got the cheapest kits they could make and then assembled them at their factory. So these parts are fine for starting, but in the rest of this video I'm going to show you how I level up my 3D printing and what tools I actually use on a daily basis when I print. So this way, as you get ready for 3D printing, or if you're looking at 3D printing for the first time, you can kind of see where you could start budgeting for your tools. So number 10 is going to be your plate knife. Now, I've seen kits come with a smaller version of an icing knife like this. Problem is they're too small for getting underneath a lot of big prints, especially when I do longer prints like these wallets here. Okay, link up there. So actually, if you go to any like baking store or grocery store, you'll be able to find one of these cake icing knives. This actually has been these are pretty much my number 1 and 2 knives that I use to scrape prints off my plate. This is really great for getting in underneath the long pieces. This one is a little broader and is great for scraping up the edges. Also, this is good for cleaning up all the tape and residue off your build plate. So you could actually go to a hardware store and get this probably for about I want to say $3 or $4. Or if you have one of these at home as a paint scraper, just make sure to really clean off any old paint off of it. This is something you could probably scrape up in your garage for free. Number 9 is a good set of Allen keys. Now, most of the Allen keys you get will be have a straight bar on this hook up here. Will be lobed like this. This is actually pretty much what you need for a lot of the cap screws on your printer, because some of them can be in weird spots. So these lobes actually help you work at an angle. But a lot of people actually go from just a plain key to something with the T-handle set. And so this is just a nicer set of keys to turn with. Especially if you're doing just a lot of work, you're not trying to deal with those with thin keys, or these are also actually easier to grab over a long time, and if you drop them, they're easier to pick up. So you're going to drop these a lot of times because you're trying to turn, you knock something out. Now, what I kind of wish that they sold, if you ever want to make your own set, get extra 2.5 and 2mm keys, because these are the ones that you need a couple of usually when you're working on a project, because the majority of the cap screws on my Lesby printer use 2.5 for things like the tool head. Pretty much all these bigger ones, there's nothing on my printer that goes above about 5mm. So if you have to choose, get anything from about 5mm down in size. This will cover about 90% of what you need for 3D printing. Number 8. So your standard kit will come with a kind of plain hobby knife like this. These are fine for just getting started and for trimming up some things. But really quickly, if you're going to do a lot of post-processing, this is going to be really hard to handle. And these thin ones and the thin blades here, I've snapped a bunch of these already. So don't be afraid to upgrade your hobby knife. Get a thicker handle, and definitely upgrade your blades as well. This way, this profile blade here is actually really nice for just general purpose trimming, getting rid of any burrs, and also good for cutting and prepping. So definitely get a thicker handle knife and go from there. Number 7, pliers. So your standard kit will come with a pair of kind of plain needle nose pliers like this. Now this is fine for cutting filament and getting into some spots, but I actually found that this profile is actually too broad to get into some parts of your tool head. And it's okay for post-processing, but this is something where you want to maybe upgrade because these handles aren't very comfortable or kind of small. So for some of your big projects, these are okay. But needle nose pliers, angle pliers, any other kind of general purpose pliers like these are actually great for extracting filament and getting into weird spots. Also, when you have to clean your tool head, sometimes this is nice to use. This is great for getting inside tool heads, as well as that's Slater, as well as just a whole bunch of other post-processing use. So if you have these kind of pliers, and you can get different sizes, so I do have smaller ones that someone else is borrowing right now. So definitely diversify your pliers. I've also used a pair of jeweler's pliers in the past for some things. Again, this is something you could get at any general hardware store or scrounge out of any old toolbox. Number 6, dental picks. So your kit might come with a metal spike or a metal pick like this. Definitely keep this because this is handy for clearing jams or for getting little details or picking those out. But a straight pick actually isn't that useful for a lot of other things. So you might go to the store and you might see something like soldering picks like this. These are actually used all the time to clean off little globs off the hot end, or for hooking bits out of pieces. You might also see them called soldering picks. So these are the ones I have that survived. The other ones I managed to abuse and break. But you could get soldering picks as well, and these are actually really handy for just general purpose cleanup. Also, if you're worried about gunk building up on your tool head or hot end nozzle, you could actually use these to scrape it off. And actually the most interesting one is bamboo skewer. So this I've actually used more than anything else just for while my printer's running. Now I could actually clean the tool head off while that's working. And for this, just take a bamboo skewer and cut it down to size. So definitely go and you could upgrade your picks, just again finding whatever's on sale. But these are used all the time as well. Number 5, Scotch-Brite pads or sanding supplies. So your tool pick kit might come with just this one little thin sheet of Scotch-Brite, which is handy because you could sand rough spots on your print bed or your nozzle. However, this isn't going to last you, so you could actually diversify. And so I use one of these sponge refills, and this actually serves as my oiler as well, so I could put a drop of oil in here and sand it with that. Or get some sanding sponges in different grits. And this is a great way to sand and process any rough spots, large rough spots on your print, or prep the bed for your printing. Number 4, ruler or calipers. So this one kit had had this metal ruler in it, and I don't know if I could get to shine right in here, but this is okay, but you need something that measures the whole length of your print bed. So when you're tired of that small ruler that came with your kit just because it fit in, here's where you could upgrade. I waited for the after school sale to get this ruler. So this is a nice steel ruler that this one doesn't have any cork backing on it, but others I've gotten do. And always make sure it has a centimeter marking on one end. Occasionally you'll see rulers in the United States that are just in inches. Here's a way to tell that. If you stick your thumb over it and it goes between two numbers like that, that's an inch. But if you stick out your pinky and your pinky nail just covers between two numbers here, that's a centimeter. So I always show this to my students to make sure they understand which side they're using, because by habit in the United States we tend to use the inch side. And if you design something in Tinkercad and you try and do it in inches like this, I've had more than a couple students make something way too big to print because of this. So if you're ever not sure, you could check the markings on the end of the ruler, or just check and make sure that it's about the size of a pinky for the centimeter side. For calipers, I use this one. It's a simpler dial caliper for probably about 90% of my measurements. I haven't had to do anything super precise, but watch out when you get these, because ones like these might not, or might have a very simple depth plunger. And if you have problems reading numbers or you don't like the dial interface, you could also get a digital one. These, definitely make sure you get a digital caliper that has spare batteries, and as a hint, always look out for spare batteries at like at the watch section of your grocery store. These batteries can be a little weird to find sometimes. And I also like using here's my good metal calipers. I'll use these when I want to make sure that it's not twisting or anything. The problem with this is if you have like plastic or fiberglass calipers, these could twist and rack a little bit and throw off your measurements. So probably this is one thing you want to upgrade and maybe spend some money on, is a good ruler and a good set of calipers. This way you can watch your measurements and try and make sure all your calibrations for your printer is correct. Toothbrush. So I just get the ones that I get from the dentist's office, and these are actually really handy for cleaning up prints, getting the hairs off TPU prints. And also, when you have to maintain your tool heads, these are great for getting into the teeth of the hop gears and just general cleanup. Last honorable mention will be the tool holder. So I actually keep a lot of the tools right here on a holder I designed for my printer. And I'll actually have the file for that on Prusa printers. So you could actually design your own holder. These filament holder spools, or these spool holders actually are designed to hold tools, but I actually found doesn't work real well doing that. And even if you don't use it, you could still use your filament arm to hold your tape. So this is something you want to probably make or find in a local support group for your printer, because chances are someone's already designed one that holds all that. Number 3, painter's tape and glue stick. So these are my two main materials for making sure the print sticks to my print bed. For glue stick, if you ever want to get a deal on glue sticks, either find a store when they have a after-school sale. So after the school year starts, these go on sale really quick, and I like to get just a couple case boxes of them if I can. Also, I found when a office supply store went out of business, I got almost 3 boxes worth of glue sticks, so I'm set for that. For blue tape, pretty much just any width pattern tapes. This is about 2.5 inches. but you could get different widths as well. I wouldn't get anything more than like a 4-inch painter's tape, because that's just going to get chewed up too quickly on a print bed. So keep an eye out for sales at your hardware store for this. You could also use packing tape. So in a previous video when I did the wallets, I did that over packing tape. But these are pretty much my main print bed materials. Number 2. So most kits don't have a turbo level or just a general purpose level in them. So with this, make sure you get one that has some sort of groove here in the center. This is actually really nice for making sure the frame of your printer is upright and level. And yes, you could get a digital one. I prefer an analog one. Definitely make sure you get something that has a little bit that could do both upright and horizontal. And even if your printer has a bed leveling system or some sort of touch sensor, it's better to have everything level to start with, so level the frame and bed. And then that makes the sensing work a lot easier and can prevent some errors. So I don't use this very often. Once my printer's dialed in, it's pretty good to go. But having a level besides what's on like the touch sensor is invaluable. Number 1, flush cutters. So these, I actually have about a dozen pairs of these floating around. These little wonder cutters, always keep a pair by your printer so you can cut filament, either if you get a tangle or if you just need to cut it off from the tool head. These are flush cutters, so they'll cut flat against the surface, and they're great for post-processing, trimming, removing any burrs, anything like that. So for easily about 80% of my post-processing on my 3D prints is done just with these. Don't be afraid to get 2 or 3 pairs of these, because these things love to just hide out and disappear on you. But definitely make sure you get flush cutters. So these are my top 10 tools that I like to use when with my 3D printing. Were there any tools that you were surprised by, or is there some special tool that you like to use and with your printer? So if so, please leave a comment and let us know what you're printing on. This way we can kind of get an idea if certain printers require special tools. For Vlogmas, I'm actually going to try and do a couple more videos. I'm not going to do a vlog every day, but I will try and do, I think I've got about 4 or 5 videos in the pipeline ready to go. So if you like what you see,